Hi, welcome back to Oddly Noted. Today we'll be talking about fingerings in major and melodic minor scales. The purpose of today's video is to give you a sort of like a universal fingering that you can use for each scale. For me, it also works in higher positions on the G and the D string, which most scale fingerings don't, and that's really important to me. It also pushes you outside the realm of positions, which I feel like a lot of high school students tend to get trapped into. What position am I in? And they don't ever feel where they are on the instrument. So hopefully this fingering will help you. Just to start us off, I'll go ahead and show you those fingerings, and you can go ahead and do a screenshot of them and print them out on your own. This is the fingering for all major scales that I use. This is one that I recommend. And you can use this starting on the G string in any spot. So you can go ahead and do A major scale with this fingering. You can also do B flat, B major, C sharp, F sharp, and it's just a matter of starting on that note on the G string and using this fingering. You'll notice the little V's in between some of the fingers. Those are half steps, and if you don't use those in your music, I highly recommend that you start using them because they're a really handy tool to remind yourself that those two fingers should touch. The one last little thing on here are these little dashes, and those are the shifts. So you'll do 1, 2, 3 on the A string, and then you'll continue to go up with a shift to 1, 2, 3, 4. This particular fingering works both going up the scale and going down the scale. So I'll give you two examples of this particular fingering, and you can go ahead and look at the sheet and follow along if you need to. But let's go ahead and just do a simple A major scale with this fingering. So on the G string, we're going to have a half step just between the 3 and the 4. Everything else is a whole step. And then we go over to the D string, same hand frame with the 1, 2, 3, and a half step between 3 and 4. And while we could be doing open strings on this particular scale, you're not going to be able to do open strings on all your scales. So I highly recommend that you start using your fourth finger all the time. Next string would be the A string, and there's a half step between your 2 and your 3. And we're just doing 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to be shifting to fourth position if you need to know what position it is, but essentially it's going to the E with the 1, and then it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 with a half step between 3 and 4. Moving over to the E string, it's 1, 2, 3 with a half step between 2 and 3. And then we shift again to an E. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 with a half step between 3 and 4. And then it's the same going down. So let's just do that really quick. It's half step between 3 and 4 for this hand frame. 4, 3, 2, 1. Shift down to a 3. The half step is between 2 and 3 on this. Over to the A string. 4, 3, 2, 1, and the 3 and the 4 are the half step. And then shift down to a 3. It's the 3, 2 is the half step in this hand frame. Use your fourth finger, and we're doing a half step between 3 and 4 on the D string. Last step, G string, same hand frame as the D string. 3 and 4 is the half step. So here it is, without me talking through it, just so you can see the fingers and where they're going. earlier, this fingering should work for every scale except for G. G is fairly simple, and you can probably use 1, 2 on the A string instead of the 1, 2, 3, and it should work out just fine. So, as an example, let's do an E major scale using the same fingering. So in order to start the scale, we'll need to start on an E on the G string. Here it is. So, same fingering, here I go. Half step, half step, half step, shift, half step, half step, shift, half step, and then back down. As you see in this scale, you're using the higher positions on the D and the G string, which is really good practice because you sometimes play there, and most scale fingerings don't have you play in that area. So getting used to that position on those strings really helps. Also, you may feel like it's really high up on the A and the E string, but particularly on orchestra music, you want to be comfortable on both the E and the A because you'll want less shifts in an orchestra type setting.